A big YouTuber named Eric Conover, almost 3 million subscribers, is facing a multitude of serious charges, including attempted murder. That's not Weenie Hut Jr. That's pretty high-level crime. If crime was Call of Duty, that would be pretty close to hitting prestige level. And he's spoken recently, and he basically cut like a WWE promo, like, "You got it all wrong, and if you ever question my mental competence, I will come snap you in half like a Kit Kat, I swear to God." I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he did talk about how he would eviscerate anyone that questions his mental competence. It's really weird shit. He's claiming it's all a massive misunderstanding, but let's go ahead and set the stage here, the lore that you need to know. Eric is a very successful YouTuber whose content focuses on these luxury mansion tours. He goes and does all of these bougie real estate videos where he shows you these dreadfully overpriced locations. I can't believe I've never seen his channel. I wasn't familiar with him until this story because I have been so deep in that rabbit hole of consuming that content, of touring these ridiculously overpriced property that are just dog shit, where it's like a $55 million mansion tour. This house comes with sci-fi amenities. You walk in and it has a new mother. It cloned your previous mother. It also has an automaton that'll whip up a charcuterie board anytime you ask it to. The shower's made out of plutonium, platinum, and other rare earth minerals. The sink faucets are vibranium, and it also has this 15,000-year-old oak tree planted right in the middle to help with your chakras, that kind of garbage. He does those, that's like his bread and butter content, but I'd never seen him before. I didn't know about him until this story, which is surprising. But not nearly surprising as the crimes that he is accused of committing. So what happened is, an officer visually estimated that he was driving at speeds of around 55 to 60 in a zone where that was excessively fast, so he began to pursue Conover and managed to get him stopped through various maneuvers. The officer exited his vehicle and moved around to the rear of his cruiser, and Mr. Conover allegedly backed his vehicle, rapidly pointed it directly at the officer, and accelerated at him, striking him at a reasonably high rate of speed, and it was alleged that the officer flew between 20 and 40 feet. They also said we're very fortunate that an amateur drone operator was in the air when he saw the interaction and was able to capture it on video. That video has not been released yet. I imagine it won't, because it's going to be a crucial piece of evidence in this, I would imagine. But I would also guess there's body cam footage too. Now, there is footage of the chase that's been released. It's very short footage filmed by someone who was nearby on rollerblades and just happened to capture him fleeing from the police, as well as some footage of the vehicle once they got it stopped. Eric is claiming that he is not the same Eric Conover police want for the attempted murder on that officer. Eric Conover, the YouTuber, is from New York, not New Jersey, as authorities claim, stating, "This seems to be a massive misunderstanding. I'm exactly who I say I am. I'm a YouTuber." Now, we all know YouTubers are some of the most respected individuals on the planet. Their reputation is spotless, up there with like firefighters. So him saying that is a big deal. Also, he loves to mention how successful he is as a YouTuber. That's like a core part of his whole personality, even during all of this. He's also currently facing some DWI charges for an arrest that allegedly happened just days earlier, and then when he went to court, as I mentioned at the beginning, he put on quite the performance. He tried to be like the fucking Joker or something there. This guy, he was looking for some kind of Oscar nomination for some really over-the-top villainous acting. He looked unhinged.
Everything right here, and it's all been falsified.
Eric Conover had a lot to say before his arraignment this afternoon.
If anyone dares try to test my mental competence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now. And
he's like Charles Xavier from Logan. His intelligence is so supreme he can blow us away with a single thought. This man is a transcendent being.
It's not being egotistical.
Police paperwork says the pursuit started after Conover was going 55 in a 35. After 8 miles, Conover stopped and an officer attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Conover allegedly drove at him and hit him in the leg and then sped off for another 28 miles.
Our Father who art in heaven.
The paperwork...
If I had to venture a guess here, when he got pulled over, he was probably drinking, didn't want another DUI, so he sped at the officer, hit the officer, and drove away. So, not exactly, jaywalking charges or an ounce of weed.
Officer was thrown 40 feet, suffering a leg injury. Conover is facing several charges, including attempted murder.
Mom, thank God, look at me!
Today in court, Conover was outspoken, claiming that he's a public figure because of his nearly 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and saying this was part of a, quote, police sting against him.
View the police reports in this matter, denies these allegations. He does not agree with the reports as they are stated.
The defense asked...
I'm very curious what he denies there. If he hit the officer, physically hit the officer with his car and drove away, that's kind of like a tough one to say that it's wrong. Like, no, that's fabricated. It's CGI. That wasn't me. It couldn't have been me. I'm 12 years old. I can't drive yet. Like, I don't even know what strategy he's trying to employ. Nah, he ran into my car. Oh, wait, maybe. Yeah, actually. No, you see, he ran at me, and he threw himself off of my car 40 feet. And then the jump scare was a lot, so I panicked, and I drove away.
Police say he was arrested Friday night for a separate drunk driving charge, which Conover denies.
I've been sober from alcohol for 1,558 days, so to press me on a DUI, I'm a public figure.
The judge did hold Conover
Good defense.
in preventative detention. He's due back.
Yeah, Eric Conover's facing right down the pipe of a lot of things here. It's a laundry list. He's got the DWI, the attempted murder charge, the first-degree assault against a police officer, as well as second-degree assault, reckless conduct with a deadly weapon, conduct after an accident, disobeying an officer, and reckless driving. Man's out here trying to get the platinum trophy for crimes. This is a lot, and it's all very serious. And it seems like he's trying to claim all of the information is falsified, all of the evidence is hooey, it's a load of fucking dirty barnacles, they've got the wrong guy, it's a misunderstanding. He's a big successful YouTuber, it definitely wasn't him, this is truly just a big old mix-up. Now, from what I saw, over the last 10 or 11 days, he had been posting some very concerning stuff on Instagram, and his community was concerned for his mental state. Now, I don't mean to summon the wrath of Eric the Megamind himself right now. I know he said he'd eviscerate anyone that would do so. I'm hoping he won't tear my flesh from my bones using nothing but his intelligence, but it is something his community was worried about with the things he was posting on Instagram, and the one that I keep seeing pop up is this picture. Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry tried to gaslight me that I needed medication too, when all you need is some discipline of your emotional state. That didn't age super well. I don't think the emotional state was controlled optimally. Now, his community was saying that what he was holding was olanzapine, which is apparently used to treat either bipolar disorder or symptoms of schizophrenia, and people are saying that him being off of this medication is most likely the cause for the concerning posts and the spiral that he seems to have been in on Instagram. And while, of course, I'm no expert here, I would say that it does probably play a role in everything that has happened recently with him, as well as his behavior in the court at the hearing there. That kind of stuff is always pretty sad to me, where someone has medication for a very serious thing like that, and then they decide to stop, and then things just fucking spiral out of control for them. But anyway, very wild story here that I just wanted to talk about briefly. That's really about it. So yeah. Yeah, this is just downright evil. A French streamer named Jean Parmenov, real name Raphael Gravin, has passed away in his sleep on stream after this marathon stream that he was a part of, where his friends, and I wouldn't call them friends, they are like actual demons, basically just abused him, beat him, fundamentally tortured him, made him consume dangerous things, and then he went to sleep and died in his sleep. He was 46 years old, and the exact cause of death is currently being investigated. Jean Parmenov was mainly a gamer, and then over time grew a big following and started doing more IRL streams, and from what I can gather, more extreme challenges. But what happened during this marathon stream where he ultimately passed away was something that he was not a full willing participant of, as evidenced by what he would say during streams, as well as a text message he sent to his mother just days before his death. He allegedly sent this to his mom shortly before he passed. "Hey mom, how are you? I'm sick of this game. It's gone way too far. I feel like I'm being held hostage by their awful concept. I'm exhausted. I want to leave, but the other guy won't let me. He's holding me hostage." The other streamers involved here are trying to claim they had nothing to do with it, and then even posted some very heartfelt messages about his passing and how much he meant to them. But if you watch any of the footage, and I don't know what I can and can't show you here because it is actually torturing this guy, and then he eventually dies. Like, if you just watch that, it's very clear this isn't a man they respected. This is someone they treated like a human punching bag.
On t'écoute.
Ouais, ça va. J'ai jamais bougé. Vraiment. Vraiment. T'inquiète pas, t'inquiète pas. Je relâche.
Allez,
Arrête, arrête, tu vas mourir. Arrête, Sarfine, arrête.
Oui, oui.
Arrête. Ah, il me prend, putain. Sarfine, arrête, tu vas mourir. Arrête, tu vas mourir.
I've seen a few news sources showing these clips, so I'm assuming that these are okay to show. Not that any of it is okay, it only gets worse from here. But as far as what they did to this man and the abuse that he endured, this is like the lowest level of it. Not that there's a such thing as diet torture, there's no such thing as like a tasteful amount of torture, but as far as like clips I can show you of just how awful it was, this is, I think, the limit of what I'm allowed to show. It is shocking that it went on for so long. Like, this was not just like a one-time thing, this was a recurrent gag on their streams where they bring Jean in and then they all just turn into like the toddlers from Weapons and start like ripping at him, beating him, insulting him. Like they really treat him like their prisoner, like a dog's chew toy or something. It is foul. And they have the audacity to claim that they did nothing and that they are blameless in this death. Like, oh, it was just such an unexpected tragedy that he passed away. No one could have seen it coming. I think any sensible person will look at all of the evidence that they themselves filmed on stream and be able to say with high level of confidence that they definitely had a hand in his untimely death. Two of the streamers directly involved in this have made statements where they're trying to put on this facade of grief, but I don't buy it at all. The first comes from Naruto, which is a wild name for a piece of shit like this to have. It's been a while since I've seen the show, but I don't recall Naruto ever being a huge advocate for torturing innocent people. Anyway, his statement says, "I've always dreaded writing these words. Sadly, last night, JP, Raphael Gravin, left us. My brother, my sidekick, my partner, 6 years, side by side, never letting go. I love you, my brother. We will miss you terribly. Please respect his memory and don't share the video of his final moments. For his family and for us, his second family, rest in peace." A bunch of words there, and I don't believe any of them. All of these words are once again more meaningless than mahujanize, and that's a word that I completely made up. This is hollow when you look at how they treated this guy for so long. It wasn't just the physical abuse that Jean Parmenov, Raphael Gravin, endured. It was the mental abuse. They would all, like, from what I can tell, they were even doing their best to, like, keep him from sleeping. They were, like, strangling him as well, which, of course, is physical, too. But, like, there was significantly more than just the physical stuff they were doing to him to mistreat him and abuse him and dehumanize him. It was terrible. It was truly terrible. Like, obviously, I'm not going to show any more from the stream, but do you want to know how they went to check if he was still alive? Well, when they thought something might be a bit awry, they threw a bottle at him. They just threw a bottle at his body, and then they went over and started slapping him to try and see if he'd wake up, but he was still unresponsive. So that's when it dawned on them that he had died in his sleep, on stream, right next to all of them. There is nothing that I have seen here that leads me to believe they genuinely cared about this guy. I think it's very clear Raphael Gravin very much cared about them and wanted to be their friend And to me, it seems like they exploited that. They manipulated him into being the butt of the joke for these humiliation streams. That's what these were. They were humiliation streams that they roped Raphael Gravin into agreeing to, and it seems like they were just dangling this carrot of friendship in front of him. And like all of the attention that it was gathering, it seems like they were holding over his head like, oh man, we need you here, JP. We need to, mistreat you on stream, but just know we love you. This is all part of, the joke here for the audience. We're all in on it. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. That's what it seems like to me from everything I have seen here. And this has gone on for a really long time. It really seems like at no point did they actually respect JP or treat him like a friend. He was simply the catalyst for their humiliation streams. Because of him, they were able to get a lot more eyeballs and make a lot more money off humiliating and abusing this guy that they never actually really viewed as a friend. That's what it looks like to me. Now, all of this was broadcast on Kick, and it went on for a long time. Not only this 10-day marathon, but a lot of the other abuse that happened prior also broadcast on Kick, and at no point were they ever, reprimanded or shut down, according to sources. So a lot of attention is now turning towards Kick about, how they handle illegal shit like this. So our priority is to protect creators and ensure a safer environment on Kick. All co-streamers who participated in this live broadcast have been banned pending the ongoing investigation. So they didn't ban until after JP's death. Now, this kind of thing has happened on Twitch before. This isn't exclusive to just Kick. This has happened on YouTube streaming before as well. There was a streamer a while back on YouTube who literally murdered his girlfriend on stream. This is unfortunately something that has happened on other streaming platforms, and I understand that it can oftentimes be hard for a company to proactively get involved and stop something from happening before it happens, preventing a tragedy. This isn't fucking Minority Report here with Tom Cruise able to, see the future or some shit. They couldn't prevent it in some of those cases, but this one's a little different because a big source of their content was mistreating JP on stream. Strangling him, beating him. That was a big piece of their content for a while, even before, all of this blew up and he passed away. I feel like at some point Kick could have absolutely been alerted to that and taken action. And Kick does have a history of letting criminal activity fly unpunished for a while. There is a streamer that I have talked about numerous times who has literally fucked a prostitute on stream on Kick in front of a child on stream and still was never banned for that. And that wasn't even the first time that he fucked a prostitute on stream. But that was the first time he did that while a child was literally in the room while he had sex with that prostitute. Still, never banned. Kick has been very loosey-goosey with their enforcement of their own policies, where they will let criminal activity fly for way too long. So that is something I think they really need to get under control. Kick has been growing a lot recently, and I think if it wants to continue to grow, it needs to take shit like this far more seriously. Before something like this happens. I feel like day one of JP being abused during this 10-day marathon, Kick could have come in and just put the kibosh on it. I'm not saying that would have saved his life or anything like that. Of course, there's no way to know. But if Kick would just be a little more mindful of trying to prevent illegal activities from being broadcast on there, it'd be really helpful not only to the platform, but to people like JP, where if his friends weren't receiving such monetary incentive to keep humiliating and abusing him, if they had been banned by Kick, well, maybe they would have stopped. But when they get to do an entire 10-day marathon of a bulk of the content revolving around, fundamentally torturing this guy, well, then it seems like they got the green light to keep doing it, and they made a lot of money doing it too. And I already know the defense that a lot of people will use here about Kick has grown a lot, so there's a lot of buns in the oven. They can't keep track of every stream every single time. And I recognize that to a certain extent, but this was a big stream for them. This is something that I think would have been on their radar in some capacity, and given Kick's history of just letting really degenerate and illegal shit fly for a while, I think there's a chance they knew about this, but just were letting it ride because it was a big stream, and they don't want to be viewed as the platform that's like Weenie Hut Jr., where they'll ban people willy-nilly. Which again, I get, but when it comes to torture and illegal shit, there is nothing wrong with stepping in and banning those accounts. In fact, I would argue it's very beneficial for your platform to do that, so that way the perception of Kick as a whole isn't like a lawless wasteland where criminals go to broadcast illegal shit. And it seems like the user base would like Kick to do more in cases like this. Aiden Ross made a statement where he mentioned that him and Drake are going to be covering the funeral costs for Raphael Gravin, which I think is a very nice gesture. And from what I can tell, it seems like Aiden agrees that Kick needs to do more in cases like this to stop the illegal content from being broadcast on that platform. It seems like it's something the users agree needs to have more action taken on, like stopping illegal broadcasts of crime on Kick. Now, to go back to the actual individuals involved in the abuse of Parmenov, one of the lawyers for them has come forward and said that the victim had cardiovascular problems and that the violence in the videos was acted. All of those scenes are just staged. They follow a script, he said. Actually going back to the classic, it's all just acting. A pretty interesting defense tactic here. I wonder if the text message Raphael Gravin sent to his mother agrees that it was all a script and that it was just acting. That must have been part of it. It was one hell of a script here. This is up there with some of Nolan's best scripts. This is crazy. To claim that the violence was staged and just acted. No, the fuck it was not. You can watch it yourself and see that is not the case. Like, they're trying to pull that meme of Patrick Stewart going to sleep and then saying, wasn't sleeping, just acting, and use it to try and excuse the hand that their clients may have had in the death of a 46-year-old innocent man on stream. It's, again, you can watch the clips yourself. It's pretty infuriating. It's hard to watch, but you can. And it's very clear this was not some script and that this was not just acting. This is real terror and real abuse that this man suffered at the hands of people he thought were his friends. Now, I do know that there are a couple of clips where Raphael Gravin was playing along with it to a certain degree, where he would kind of lean into like the humiliation / abuse for the sake of like the stream. There are a couple moments of that, but it's very rare. The majority of the majority of it is them like just lashing out and like attacking him or making him do things against his will, and it's not scripted. Very clearly not scripted or fully agreed upon. So I think that is a very weak defense. I guess we'll see if the French courts agree, but I really think you can say with high confidence that this stream and these streamers did play a role in what ultimately happened to Raphael Gravin. They may not have directly killed him or anything like that, but I do think everything they put him through for such an extended period of time had a real role to play in what happened. It's sickening. This stream was hard to watch the clips from. It was brutal. Anyway, I had to talk about it a little bit. It's just so fucking crazy. That's really about it. See ya. Cody is a YouTuber that probably doesn't need an introduction. I don't need to read the Wikipedia article explaining to you who he is and lore dumping. I'm sure most of you are at least loosely familiar with his content. He's been very large on the platform for years now. And recently, some disturbing allegations have come out against him. Now, the allegations against him aren't exactly brand new. They're not, fresh off the battle bus, hot drop in here out of nowhere. They've actually existed for a little while now, but never actually received a lot of coverage or a lot of attention. Kind of just been sidelined with people not knowing about it or not talking about it. Until yesterday, when another YouTuber named D'Angelo Wallace gave some amazing coverage breaking down the entire situation here and going over everything that Cody is accused of.
Someone has been alleging for years now that you, one of the largest commentary creators on YouTube, knowingly committed a crime against her when she was a minor. But YouTubers and viewers alike are ignoring and discrediting these allegations solely because the person making them happens to be an unlikable woman online, Tana Mojo.
Yikes. Yeah, that's some pretty awful shit right there. That's a huge allegation that actually has a lot of evidence backing it up, which D'Angelo Wallace covers in great detail in this video. It's not some imaginary nothing burger that someone squeaked out between their butt cheeks to try and ruin Cody Co. It's a serious accusation that appears to have a lot of evidence about it.
I'm not here to accuse you of committing a crime in this video because I can't do that based on someone else's allegations. Nobody can definitively take these allegations as proof, but at the same time, they should still be looked at and not treated as an open secret and swept under the rug like you've been doing for so many years now.
I think that's a great point. Even though these are still allegations with nothing that's been proven, since there is so much supporting evidence around the claims, it definitely is something that needs to be examined thoroughly because it is a huge deal.
And speaking of this podcast, about a month ago, she hosted a live episode in front of an audience, and the conversation turned to you.
Who's the smallest you've ever had sex with?
Oh my God, no one look at me, Cody. I can say that. I was literally 17, I can say that.
This clip started making the rounds and people were understandably perturbed because if Tana Mongeau was 17, you would have been 25. So people started speculating and Tana decided to set the record straight.
I hooked up with Cody when I was 17 and he was 25.
I'm going to go ahead and break down these numbers here because it seems like people are starting to struggle with math, like teriology starting to pop off with 1 times 1 equaling 2 and all of that. I'm just going to go ahead and explain this. 17 is less than 18. Thus, that is below the age of consent and is a crime. And I already have seen comments on this situation about 17, who gives a fuck? That's basically 18 anyway. And it's this same dogshit, brain dead, concerning mentality, like your hard drive needs to be investigated type shit that we saw with Dr. Disrespect, where they're like, no one should really care that Dr. Disrespect was talking inappropriately with a 17-year-old. Even though, once again, you absolute fucking Cro-Magnon, there is no evidence that Dr. Disrespect ever talked to a 17-year-old. Not even he said that. It has only ever been stated as a minor. Everyone around Dr. Disrespect never mentioned 17. It's actual delusional Fantasyland Narnia type shit where people are trying to defend him by saying it was actually a 17-year-old, 364 days old. Which is absolute fucking barnacles. Like, that's a load of fish paste. And even still, it's bad. I don't know how we've devolved so much where all of a sudden 17 is now something people try and justify. So like in this case right here, you'll have some drooling, stinky, bumbling morons in the comments saying how it's not a big deal because 17 shouldn't be an issue. You know, like, age of consent over in this region is actually 16, so really, he waited till she was old. Like, it's craziness. It's actually craziness. It is a crime. It is a minor. Still, it's bad. Like, I don't know why that needs to be explained all of a sudden. Now, something D'Angelo Wallace does make a point of here is pointing out that Tana Mongeau is not well liked. I am sure if you've been on YouTube for any length of time, you've heard her name and seen a lot of less than stellar things about her. She has a history of lying and putting on a lot of bad stuff and bad behavior. However, when it comes to this claim, this doesn't appear to be something that she's just lying about for clout to try and elevate her platform on the back of Cody Ko's good name or anything like that. This is a story that's been told even a few years in the past about this situation here. So this isn't something that she just pulled out of thin air. This is actually an allegation that has existed for a long time that is only just now starting to surface.
She claims that not only were you fully aware of her age at the time, but someone even tried to stop you and you went ahead anyway.
There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up.
To be clear, 17 is under the age of consent in many states, including Florida, where Playlist Live used to take place. So this means that Tana Mongeau is accusing you of statutory rape, and she's not trying to hide that.
This isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Remember how Tana said that fellow YouTuber Gabby Hanna tried to stop you before everything allegedly went down? Well, did you know that Gabby is actually on record telling the exact same story several years ago?
One time, I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she like looks a little older, she's underage, watch it. And he was like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
This is really, really bad.
Really, really bad indeed. Pardon my potty mouth here, but this is fucking disgusting. Like, this is by far the most compelling piece of evidence presented because this is a completely separate third-party individual coming forward now with the same story years ago. Exactly how Tana described it. Finding this clip was huge. I don't even know how it was unearthed. Huge props for finding this ancient artifact because apparently it had been scrubbed from like everywhere. I don't even know how you would have even gone about finding something like this, but I really think it is an important piece to this story. It's a very strong piece of evidence, and it should hopefully showcase that this isn't just something Tana is making up on the spot for attention or anything like that. This is something that has been talked about for years. There's a lot of comments that get shown in the video with people shitting on Tana for bringing this up, like, oh, this is prehistoric. Why would you ever bring this up now? You just want attention, you absolute harpy. Oh, who cares? This is bullshit. It's all a lie anyway. All you do is lie. Liar, liar, plants for hire. You harlot. Those kind of comments, like unhinged people about this. And I really think that this Gabby Hanna clip that's been provided should shut that garbage down. Of course, it doesn't prove 100%, the authenticity of everything. As D'Angelo Wallace also explains, these are still allegations. But that is a pretty substantial piece of evidence there that should at least show why this needs to be talked about and should absolutely be addressed directly by Cody.
People make accusations all the time, specifically regarding things that are very difficult to prove or disprove, unfortunate as that may be. But when somebody makes an allegation and they say they have a witness, and that witness can be found telling the exact same story years before any of this came out, that's not something I can just ignore. In a situation that cannot be proven, corroboration by a third party goes a long way. I'm not accusing you of committing a crime, but even if what Tana says is false, your silence is still grossly incompetent at best.
It really is a pretty bad strategy here. This isn't something John Madden would draw up in the playbook. Burying his head in the sand and hoping that the storm blows through doesn't exactly work in a situation like this. I mean, I guess it has up till this point, since so few people were aware of it, but now that it's being talked about more and more, I do think that he's going to need to come forward about all of it. There is quite a bit of time in the video dedicated to the community's response to the allegations, because it is bad how, viewers have responded to all of this. Basically, and it is a good point that D'Angelo Wallace made, because Tana Mongeau is widely disliked by the broader YouTube audience, when she was the one putting these claims out there, people attacked her, dogpiled her for saying things like this. They jumped on her like she had just, killed a puppy in front of them. People responded to her in the worst possible way with these allegations. And Tana made a really good point where she said if this was any other YouTuber she was talking about, one that wasn't as highly regarded as Cody, the response would be completely different, where she'd be getting sympathetic messages and support for coming forward with her experience. But because it's Cody, it's been a biblical smackdown in the comments against her, which is just a crazy response to something like this. I mean, there were some lunatics there, like genuinely hateful people saying the most misogynistic shit you could find in the comment section about this because she dared come forward with her experience and talk about that situation. Now, again, yes, they are allegations. Nothing has been proven, but there is a lot of evidence here that should at the very least get a response from Cody Ko about all of this. And it's not like he's not aware of what's happening. As pointed out in this video, he is seemingly censoring his YouTube comment section.
And now you're choosing censorship. On your YouTube channel, where you've been pumping out content nearly every day now, I couldn't find a single comment on your last video about this situation. Not even one. Comparing that to the comment section on your Instagram, where every single comment I saw was about this, it's clear that you're heavily censoring your audience on YouTube.
I actually went and checked this myself because this is a Lego build that you can follow along with at home. I went to his latest upload and clicked newest in the comment section because surely you'd see some now after this is being blown up into a huge story. But even when filtering on his newest upload by newest comments, I still only found a couple of comments that referenced this. So it really does seem like it's being heavily censored in the YouTube comments. Because with how big the story is, you would expect a lot of them, especially when you look at his Instagram. But somehow, nothing on YouTube? Yeah, that's very suspicious. That definitely smells like he is censoring the comments there. So it's not like he doesn't know what's going on here. Tana also said that he had reached out at some point kind of about this, saying are we good? So it's not something that he's just unaware of, and that's why he hasn't addressed it. D'Angelo Wallace also points out how he's responded to things in the past, like he paywalled an apology for like an old clip that surfaced where he was using a slur. So he's talking about like the history of responding poorly to situations that Cody finds himself in. And then he brought up this, which I'd never heard of.
Not many people know that you've already lost fans over an eerily similar topic. You used to frequently feature and promote your college friend Colby Leachman in your videos, until it came out that during your school days, Leachman's university put him on probation for, as a United States District Judge would later put it, the non-consensual videotaping of a sex act with another student, showing the video to other people, lying to the police about the video, and behaving horribly to that individual and at least one other woman. To make matters worse, the woman in the video also alleged that Leachman drugged her before the recording and that she hadn't actually consented to anything at all. You had this man in your videos. You were telling us to follow him on Instagram, and at some point you did wise up, so he's no longer part of your content, but he still seems like he's very much a part of your friend group. From the continued hangout since then to inviting him to your wedding just last year, people are under the impression that you're best friends with someone who, at best, committed an illegal sex act and at worst is an alleged rapist. And no matter how many times people rediscover this information over the years, you refuse to say anything at all.
That is baffling to me. Like, it's one thing to be friends with someone who turns out to be a monster, but once you learn that they're a monster, that's where it should stop. I've said this before. If my best friend Matt turned out to have like a secret double life, you know, a Jekyll and Hyde situation where Matt goes out there and he does something truly heinous, I would cut them out of my life. I wouldn't be able to go forward being friends with someone like that. You know, giving him a fist bump saying, hey, we're still bubble buddies, bro. Like, I couldn't do that. So it's so weird to me that Cody can, and when people have talked about it in the past, apparently Cody has just ignored it. That is very, very odd.
I haven't seen a single channel over 1 million subscribers do so much as acknowledge that this situation exists. And I'm not talking about channels that never would have discussed something like this either. I mean the same channels that were rightfully calling out people like Dr. Disrespect for texting a minor, which are the same channels that are now completely ignoring a scenario with an even bigger creator being accused of doing something much worse.
D'Angelo Wallace makes a point a couple times in this video about the silence on this subject being staggering, considering in the YouTube ecosystem there's tons of commentary channels that'll cover a wide variety of topics, sometimes rumors that aren't nearly this serious, you know, like a 2-part docuseries on that time Markiplier allegedly pooped without peeing. Or, in my case, I'll make a whole rant going over how aliens probably aren't visiting us via theoretical warp drives to haunt our boners. And yet, somehow, a story that's this serious just slips through the cracks and didn't have many people talking about it until very recently. So I'd like to at least take a quick moment here to explain why I hadn't covered it. Now, I did hear the whispers about this Cody Co allegation about a week ago now, where someone in stream chat had mentioned, hey, have you heard what Cody Co apparently did with Tana Mojo? And on stream I asked what they were talking about because I hadn't heard shit about that. Eventually another chatter explained that I could find more information about it on Reddit because a conversation was starting to develop around those allegations, so I made like a note of it and then went to bed. The following day I got home pretty late and then went to follow up on things from the previous night, because sometimes during stream I'll make like tabs about what people are telling me to look up. I don't do react content on stream or anything anymore, so if it's like a video that people are recommending I check out to get caught up on something or whatever, I'll make a tab for that video and then watch it when I get back to the following day. And when it came to the Cody Co thing with the Reddit post, by the time I got to it, it was deleted. So I kind of assumed that maybe the claims were just baloney, and I didn't see a whole lot of chatter about it. I saw a couple of tweets that loosely talked around it, vaguely, and I just didn't look into it deeper than that. And I recognize now that that was a mistake, so I'm sorry for that. But I just didn't find a lot of information at the time until, of course, last night when D'Angelo Wallace posted the video covering all of this. So I know the speculation has been made that the reason people aren't talking about the Cody Co situation is because he's a channel that a lot of people respect and is friends with a lot of the community. So no one wants to speak out against their friend or a channel that they respect so much, thus they're trying to help bury it or not let it, erupt into the mainstream. For me, that wasn't the case. When I went looking for the info after that stream, I didn't find anything, and I didn't do a big enough dive on it to access it, so I just kind of stopped looking, which, again, was a mistake, clearly. I've talked about Cody Ko's content in the past. I've liked his content. I respected him as a content creator, but I'd never say that we were friends or anything. I went on his podcast one time, and I think we only ever talked in Twitter DMs once as well. We weren't exactly like inseparable friends, the best of pals and buddies or anything. Like, I imagine if we walked by each other in a crowded mall, we'd do one of these to each other, and that'd probably be the end of it. This isn't some kind of story that I was avoiding or anything like that. I just truly didn't do enough digging on it because, as D'Angelo Wallace does mention, this story has been pretty successfully buried for the most part, where a lot of people just weren't aware of it, and I didn't do due diligence to become aware of it. But luckily, D'Angelo Wallace did, and created this great video going over all of it. So I wanted to talk about this because obviously it's a very serious situation. Cody Ko absolutely should come forward to explain all of it, and if there is another side to this story, tell it. If it's wrong, set the record straight. It's a very upsetting story here that at the very least needs to be addressed by Cody publicly. This can't be another paywalled apology situation or anything like that. This should definitely be something that he comes forward and actually talks about. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Yesterday I talked about a streamer who passed away while on stream. His name was Raphael Gravin, known online as Jean Parmenov. He was a French streamer who was once a gamer, then started doing more IRL content and teamed up with some real degenerates that mistreated him and abused him for a very long time. And then they did a 10-day marathon with Jean Parmenov, where they strangled him, beat him, humiliated him, some truly evil shit, and he unfortunately passed away while sleeping on that stream. You can see all of this. It's very, very hard to watch. I looked into this super deeply. Jean Parmenov was an individual who went through a lot of struggle, and he was a vulnerable person, and from what I can tell, this group with Naruto and Safane, these are big French streamers, they exploited his desire to be accepted by pretending to be his friend. And what they wanted for Jean as their friend was to let them beat the fuck out of him and treat him like garbage, dehumanize him, abuse him physically and mentally, and put him through torture on stream for their content, because it was very popular content. It was all broadcast on Kick, and I speculated yesterday that Kick probably knew about it. Turns out they 100% knew about it, and Kick France would even make tweets about Jean Parmenov and the torture he was enduring. They were fully aware of what was happening. They even used him to push their merch. So Kick France, it's not like they can just try and make the claim, this flew under our radar. If only we had known, we would have swooped in like fucking Batman and saved Gotham City from this degeneracy. They knew. They even were an active participant in encouraging it, clearly. So they can't just play like the blissful ignorance card on it. Now, from what I read, that Kick Twitter account that was posting about it was run by a French agency, so maybe like Kick's staff didn't particularly know, but I find that kind of hard to believe that you would just let this agency have free reign and that never ever reports back to Kick itself. So I'm very confident they were aware of what was happening, but since these streams were so popular, they were big. Like, I knew they were very successful, but I didn't know how big they were. These were huge streams. And since they were so huge, I think they were hesitant to shut it down, and given Kick's history of just letting illegal activity go unpunished for a really long time, I think it's pretty safe to say that they saw the amount of eyeballs this was bringing, and they just let it ride. They didn't care that Jean Parmenov was literally being fucking abused on their platform because it was getting some big-time peepers on the platform. And I think that needs to change ASAP for Kick. This is a platform that's growing a lot, and as I've said this a lot, I think it's a good thing if Kick continues to be successful. Competition in the streaming space is crucial, but the way that they handle their own rules is laughable. It's just as bad as the way Twitch handles their rules. Kick is not shutting down illegal activity on their platform, and they need to. Again, I'm not saying had they shut down this marathon of abuse stream, it would have saved John Parmenov's life. There's no way of knowing that. But at the very least, you would have set the tone that abusing and fundamentally torturing a human being on your platform is not welcome, which I think is a good stance to take. And it seems like it's something that a lot of the streamers on Kick would also like Kick to step up and do. Again, I mentioned this yesterday as another example. There is a streamer who is still actively streaming on Kick, as of me making this right now, is literally live, who has fucked multiple prostitutes on stream, and includes one time where he fucked a prostitute on stream with a child in the room while he did it on stream, and that guy is still not banned. Kick needs to start actually taking crimes seriously, which I can't believe is something that even needs to be said. But anyway, I'm not going to rant about that any longer. The big update to today's story is a French investigation has concluded that Jean Parmenov's death was not the result of any foul play. According to a public prosecutor, there was a post-mortem conducted and he was found to have not been killed by trauma or a third party. The probable causes of death appear to be medical and/or toxicological. This is from Damien Martinelli, saying that further tests had been ordered, but ultimately they're concluding that this was not the result of all of the abuse and mistreatment that he endured for so long from these streamers that were beating him and strangling him and torturing him. 2 forensic doctors found no internal or external traumatic injuries or burns, only a few bruises and healed lesions. Medical experts considered that Mr. Graven's death was not traumatic in origin and was not related to the intervention of a third party. Graven may have suffered from heart problems and was undergoing medical treatment for his thyroid gland, the prosecutor added. There's a lot to unpack with this. Now, while his actual cause of death might not be directly related to all of the beatings and shit that he took from these fucking demons, I think it's inarguable that all of the stress and all of the torture that he endured probably was pretty bad for his already present medical conditions. I would make an argument, now of course I'm not a medical expert, that subjecting a human being with medical problems, as well as a couple of other things going on in the medical history, to the amount of beatings, strangulation, stress, consumption of dangerous chemicals, the sleep deprivation, and doing your absolute best to ensure perpetual misery of that individual probably exacerbates a lot of problems that could lead to their death. I would say that is something that most sensible people would agree with. I think if someone has underlying medical conditions, fundamentally torturing them is probably just going to make it worse. Even if the torture doesn't directly kill them, I would be shocked if anyone thinks that this means that those streamers' hands are clean. Like, oh, case closed. He didn't die from any of the trauma he experienced. Yeah, he had some bruises and all that. And yes, he was abused for so long, mistreated and fundamentally tortured by these individuals. But his actual death, well, it looks like that was just of natural causes and had nothing to do with any of this innumerable amount of torture that we've bore witness to. Surely that was all just circumstantial, had nothing to do with any of that. They're blameless. These are just some saints here. These are angels, actually. These were just good friends of Raphael Graven who are clearly going to be mourning his loss just as much as everyone else. They did nothing wrong. It was just medical problems that they in no way was impacted by the abuse that he was subjected to for such an extended period of time from these individuals. I think all of the evidence that you can freely watch of all of the numerous, like, unfathomable mountain of clips of them just beating the shit out of him and literally, like abusing him constantly, fundamentally torturing this man, would indicate that they definitely played a role in making his overall health worse. And we have the text messages from Raphael Graven to his mother that indicate how much stress he was under and how he felt like he was being held hostage by them, that he couldn't leave, and that he desperately wanted out. It was so bad with their abuse of this man that they actually had him on stream confirm that if he dies, it's not their fault. I had to translate this, but in a clip that's out there, they are saying, well, what happens if Jean Parmenov dies? They said, well, we're going to have to get him to say that it's not our fault if he dies. It's a result of his lifelong bad health, his bad decisions, his terrible way of living that led to his death if he dies. And he initially said no. He didn't want to say that. But they made him say that. They forced him to say that if he dies, it is not because of all of the abuse that they subject him to. Does that sound like the actions of an innocent party here? They knew that he was vulnerable. They knew that what they were doing could very well, like, end up with him dead, it seems. And then to try and cover their ass, they had him agree that if he dies, it's because of his own health problems. Which he initially declined to do. But they kept insisting that he clears them. Like, it's fucking absurd to try and make the claim that all of these streams, the months worth of abuse, more than months, a long time of abuse they subjected John Parmenov to, had no role to play in his passing. It's craziness to try and make it seem like just because they didn't, like, fucking kill him on the spot on stream, that they had nothing to do with his death. Now, something I've seen popping up from some real fucking brain-dead morons here huffing stupid juice is that, well, he agreed to all of it, so it's his fault, can't be mad at the streamers. If that isn't the biggest load of fucking barnacles I've ever heard. First of all, we know from the text messages he didn't want to do it. He wanted to leave, but felt he couldn't leave, that he was being held hostage there. They weren't letting him leave, was the impression he was giving to a text message sent to his mother. Also, from what I was reading, they would actually force him to do this, sometimes monetarily. Like, they would financially pressure him to participate in their abuse and mistreatment. And from the very get-go, it feels like they manipulated a mentally vulnerable man who was looking for friends into being their guinea pig to just beat on stream for content to make money off of it. They treated this guy like a human piñata, where they would hit him until money fell out from, like, the deranged viewers that were watching and donating and all of that. There is nothing here that indicates that he was a willing participant for everything. Yes, he agreed to a certain level of, like, extreme challenges, but clearly not all of it. Again, we have the text messages that he sent to his mother. It's clear he didn't want to do all of it. And it's clear on stream the amount of times he would say no to things, but they would still force him to eventually just succumb to it and agree. Also, from what I was reading, I'm not super familiar with the law in the region, but from what I read, you can't even legally consent to being tortured or anything like that in the first place. So even if he, like, fully agreed to everything, it doesn't seem like you can legally even do that. Like, you can't legally consent to fucking torture on yourself. It's just, this whole thing is indefensible in my eyes. Also, Naruto's a bitch. This loser brings shame to the entire Hidden Leaf village. He has ruined the Uzumaki name with this. He has filed a cyberbullying complaint amid the backlash to all of this. He has the gall to file a cyberbullying complaint about his feelings being hurt with people insulting him for all of the abuse that he subjected Jean Parmenov to. So he filed the complaint to the Paris prosecutor's office cyber hate division, targeting those who have harassed Naruto since JP's death. As he goes through a period of mourning, Naruto is the subject of a cyberbullying campaign. These behaviors, in addition to being immoral, constitute criminal offenses. A complaint will be filed in the coming days with the Paris prosecutor's office cyber hate division so that the perpetrators can be identified and prosecuted. You fucking vile worms. Imagine torturing a man for so long, so much mistreatment and abuse broadcast on stream so you could make money off of this man's misery. And now when that man passes away, you are now trying to play the victim yourself, like, oh, you guys are hurting our feelings. How can you guys be mean to us? We've done nothing wrong. That was our best friend. Did you not read our heartfelt post where we called him, well, where Naruto called him his sidekick? Did you also not read the part in Naruto's apology that was so heartfelt where he said, please stop sharing the final moments? Oh man, what, did you miss all that? Because the final moments make them look so bad because in the final moments he throws a fucking water bottle at JP's lifeless body on the floor and then goes and slaps it to see if he'll be responsive, only to find out he's dead? Because for the entirety of that marathon stream, they're just abusing this poor guy? What? Oh my god, did you miss all of that? It's so clear how much they loved their best friend, and you guys are being mean to them? That's crazy. Oh my god, what has the world come to? We need to identify and prosecute everyone who's left a nasty comment about Naruto and Safune. It's so fucking cringe. It's crazy. It is just craziness. This story has been so fucking gross, and I can only pray that they actually do face punishment here, because now I'm starting to worry that they won't. It looks like they might get away with it. I also learned that they had actually been taken in by French authorities earlier this year about everything they were putting Jean Parmenov through on stream, but they were released the same day. And then it ultimately leads to what happened here, where they continue to do it because it looks like they're completely in the right legally over there in France, I guess, to continue mistreating this guy. So they continue to do it on stream, and it leads to a fucking tragedy with the passing of Jean Parmenov at 46 years old. This shit is so evil. Now, again, all of this is happening in France, so a lot of the information that I get access to is through translations, so it is a little hard to keep up with everything, like, fully accurately, but I'm doing the best I can. It is just so sad. Like, this whole story of Raphael Gravin is just so sad, man. Like, it breaks my heart to see this kind of shit. Anyway, I just wanted to give you the update here. That's really about it. So, yeah. Yesterday, I learned about an extremely tragic and weird situation involving the mysterious death of a 26-year-old Brazilian YouTuber named Carlos Medeiros. On December 25th, he was reported missing. A big search ensued to try and find him, and eventually one of his childhood friends saw his body poking out through the dirt on a couple's property. Upon digging up the area, they found Carlos Medeiros' corpse. It was buried in a shallow grave on this couple's land. And when asked about why his body was buried there, they said that he had died during a night of cocaine-fueled sex and passed away during an orgasm while fucking the homeowner's sister. Must have been the biggest nut ever busted, because this one sent him to meet his maker, according to their story. Between the drugs and the sex, he had died in their home, and the couple said that they panicked, didn't know what to do, they were afraid to call an ambulance, so they came to the conclusion that it would be best to just bury his body in their yard, which is an unhinged thought process. But obviously, this is a little suspicious. This is one of those smells that smells smelly. It just doesn't make any sense. How could not one but two people, multiple sentient human beings, reach this awful idea? It makes them look extremely guilty if they're truly innocent of no foul play. Why would they think to bury this body instead of just calling authorities to report what happened? It doesn't add up, especially when you consider that they had previously lied about this whole situation. Initially, they said that Carlos Medeiros left their house, and they had no idea where he was, and they had even allegedly made a social media post saying that they've got to find Carlos Medeiros. Come on, let's all find Carlos Medeiros. We gotta get him back, knowing full well they had buried him in their property. So that just, there's something not right there. This is like a plot line out of LA Noire. So it's a really fucking wild story, and there's actually more to it that I went over on stream, so I'm going to play you those clips now. There was a YouTuber who was buried in a backyard. Oh, you're talking about the Brazilian YouTuber, right? Hold on, I'll pull that up in a second because that was kind of crazy. Let me send a quick text. 26-year-old Brazilian YouTuber found in neighbor's backyard. It was Carlos Medeiros. The body of a 26-year-old Brazilian YouTuber has been found buried in the backyard of some of his neighbors. He was reported missing on Christmas Day after he failed to return home for dinner with friends who later said that he had left their home late at night. Medeiros' family searched hospitals and woods until Saturday. Someone saw a mound of dirt in the house of this couple he had visited for the holidays. They went in and saw my brother's t-shirt showing in the dirt. They called the police, who went there and found him buried. So, here's their defense. The couple who owned the home claimed that the influencer died while doing drugs and having sex with Caroline's sister. The couple's version is this. They buried him because they didn't know what to do with the body. That is the most dog shit defense I've ever heard. What do you mean you buried him because you didn't know what to do with the body? You just call the police. That's nobody's first instinct. To bury a body is such an incredible time commitment. Like, there's no way that was just impulsively done. It's not like, all right, just quickly throw him in this fucking, grave we made. This is absolutely seeming like they killed him and tried to hide the body poorly in a shallow grave because of the drugs, assuming it wasn't murder. Yeah, well, I don't think they've ran a toxicology report or anything yet. I think it's still too new. But they're saying that he allegedly had an overdose while taking Caroline's sister to have sex in the bathroom. At the moment he was having an orgasm, he felt unwell and fell dead. Which I don't believe for a fucking second. Because, like, I would believe it if they didn't bury his goddamn body in their garden. Also, if that is how he died, what a crazy way of going out. That is a rock star's death right there. Man's out there fucking boofing meth, you know, all kinds of shit. Making a cocktail of ketamine, all kinds of wild shit. Has sex and dies during an orgasm. What a way to go to Valhalla. Merry fucking Christmas, I guess. I guess so. But I don't believe that story. I really don't. If the report indicates that his death was accidental, the couple will be charged with concealing a corpse. If it is proven that he is murdered, the man and the woman will be charged with homicide. Simple enough. The Post reported that the couple turned themselves in to authorities on Sunday. Now an autopsy will determine the cause of death. However, police said that they found evidence of stab wounds. Strangulation, or gunshots on the body. I think they meant found no evidence. I think that's what they meant to say. Because that reads as though, like, this is an open and shut case of not being a drug-related death. There was gunshots on the body, but it turned out what actually killed him was the weed he smoked 2 hours earlier. Gunshots were circumstantial, not significant. Or is not a typo. I think this has to be a typo here. I'll go to another source that really feels like a fucking typo. Yeah, let's go to this one. Oh, fuck, it's the Daily Mail. They probably just copy and pasted this article. This one's saying that they're claiming that he took cocaine and had a heart attack while fucking. And they said that they were afraid of calling an ambulance. This is where they found the body. This was the grave they dug for him, I guess. The couple had initially lied and said that Medeiros left their home after dinner before later confessing to a different story. This is baloney! What a load of fucking fish paste! He didn't die from cocaine and sex. Like, I don't believe this for a second. Also, these ads are nuts. These ads are going fucking insano style. Man, all this inundation with ads will put you in an early grave. Good God, what an eyesore. They also made a social media post asking the public for help finding Medeiros. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. There's no way, there is no sensible couple that would bury a body of someone that just died in their home while having sex with their sister. That's already wild. And there is no way that they would start lying about it and then making social media posts. There's some fishiness afoot. Civil Police Chief Louis Faria told G1 that the incident is being investigated as a homicide committed by an unknown perpetrator. Sounds about right. Okay, yeah, it was a typo. During the search for the firefighters, according to a police report, Medeiros' body did not display any signs of violence. The house was set on fire. What? The house was set on fire by neighbors, but no arrests have been made. What? Wait, what? What is happening in this story? It's like an episode of CSI that just keeps going. So their house got set on fire? Residents in the Brazilian town set fire to the home where the body of the influencer was found buried. Jeepers creepers, Jiminy Christmas! Mob justice. Yeah, that's what it seems like. It reminds me of the second Halloween movie, Evil Dies Tonight. And then they just torched it. Imagine the evidence destroyed in that fire, though. Yeah, it's not a very well thought out plan. Look down there, only charged with concealing a corpse. Yeah, we already covered that. Well, they will be charged with concealing a corpse if it was accidental, or if it's ruled, like after the autopsy, that he died from a heart attack from cocaine. Then my brain just had one of those like record scratch moments where everything just went foggy. Right now, it's just looking at concealing a corpse. If it was accidental and is death was a heart attack from cocaine. But if it turns out they killed him, obviously they're going to be charged with murder. It'd be so much less suspicious if they didn't burn the fucking house. Well, no, the family didn't burn the house. The community did. Assuming that there was foul play afoot here. They hid the body and then lied. And then made a social media post like, where is he? We gotta find him. When he was in their backyard. And they're lying about that too. Oh, interesting. So you're claiming that the couple burnt the house down to hide further evidence. It wasn't the community. Oh, an interesting theory. That seems like a really drastic step to take. When they could have just scrubbed it all with bleach. Yeah, but they did just bury a body in their backyard. Yeah, that is also pretty drastic. True, true.